Welcome to another episode of Birminology on Lettermen Row. I'm your host, Jeremy Birmingham. Today's guest is Harry Miller, a five-star offensive lineman from Buford, Georgia, who signed with Ohio State in the class of 2019. Harry is one of the most interesting kids in America, and I really believe that he is a player and a person that Ohio State fans are going to love once they get to know him. Today we're going to talk to Harry about his recruitment, why he chose Ohio State multiple times, and, on top of that, what makes him so unique and special off the field. So, we're going to get started with Harry Miller, and once again, thanks for watching Birminology on Lettermen Row. Welcome to Birminology, Harry Miller. Thanks for being on the show. You are only the second of the 2019 class to join the show, so we've been focusing on the 2020 group a little bit as recruiting is picking up for that group. But for you, you've been pretty quiet since you made your commitment the first time, even despite all of the various things that had happened at Ohio State and the opportunities for you to speak up. You sort of, as you normally do, spoke, I guess, more with actions than words. But can you talk about what it is for people out there that don't really know you, that really had you choosing Ohio State the first time last I guess it was last April, not official till last June. But then going back and once everything started in August, and then again in December. I mean, there was 3 different opportunities for you to pick a different school.
Right.
Why did it always come back to Ohio State for you?
I guess because I get asked that question a lot, why I chose Ohio State over X school and whatnot. And so I think a lot of it comes down to, this is a decision that every football player thinks of whenever they start playing football. This is the next step you imagine. And so for me, I've been thinking about it a lot. And really, the whole thing came down to a lot of prayer, a lot of deliberation. And so a lot of it was, ever since 2014, going down to Nicaragua, I've been kind of being fed into this role of leadership, into this role of fulfilling a space that needs to be filled down there for, I guess, a spokesperson and kind of somebody who can share that story. And so for me, we've been praying about this decision ever since 2014. And as the years have kind of unfolded and I've been able to mature and understand more about my college decision, about my future, what I want, and about the status of what I'll be doing with Nicaragua, it's kind of been more information has been presenting itself to me. And so we've been praying for that. And I think a lot of credit is to Sammy Silverman, who does the media there, and he was probably what pushed me over the edge to commit, because when we got there, he started saying things that we were talking about in a little unair-conditioned house in Nicaragua praying over, and it was things that he was saying that he shouldn't have known, but things that I guess I can only say were placed on his heart to say. And so for me, I was like, we joked and we said, what more do you need, a burning bush? Because he was just saying these things. And it was like, so that was the confirmation for me. And so when everything happened in August and December, all of these things happened, I knew that I wouldn't have been placed here to decommit. I was placed there to remain a leader in that class, in that recruiting class. And so I stayed firm in my commitment, trusted what would happen. It's actually been very funny because we've met. I work with Open Hearts Ministry. There's a place 5 minutes away we found out called Tesoros de Dios, which is Treasures of God, which works with the special needs community there, whose 2 chairmen, I believe, I guess is the term, are Ohio State grads. We had dinner with one the night before the spring game. A local food ministry there is run by a couple of Ohio State grads, and so down there we've been creating a lot of relationships through Ohio State, and Ohio State has made a huge goal to facilitate me with mission work, and we're actually going to bring a group down there next March is the goal.
Wow, that's pretty. I think it's so funny because, Harry, so many people hear recruits and their families, and all the time they talk and they say it's about this or that, but so oftentimes it comes down to football. You know what I mean? I mean, there's always that the stuff on the periphery that you say, oh, this is important, but then you hear somebody go, well, okay, but I'm still going to go here because they're going to win a national championship.
Right.
You had the opportunity to go to Stanford or somewhere else. I mean, you put in work off the field far more than you have on it. How hard was it to have those conversations with other schools that were still trying at the end to say, okay, well, Urban Meyer's not there. You don't want to go to Ohio State. I mean, was that just an easy conversation to have?
It was very difficult, and I think a lot of this decision is battling to people who appeal to your sense of pride and appeal to a lot of emotions you have. And I know for me, whether that's somebody appeals to the caliber of the institution academically or athletically, a program, and a lot of it is saying, I think a lot of it is presenting what you will miss out if you don't come to this school. And so I think it's not about, you can say yes to anybody, but I think it's about who you can't say no to. And for me, that was the relationships I created with Coach Day for 2 years, Coach Meyer, and the coaches there, and a lot of the some doctors there, some professors there, and some other influential people at Ohio State.
It seems like you were recruited by the university and not the football program.
Yeah, it was a lot. We talked with several. Coach Meyer, when he was, I guess, we visited in the summer last June, and I didn't know if I was leaning towards engineering or medicine, what I wanted to do, and so he, obviously very, he wanted to secure my commitment. And so he did a bunch of research on bioengineering and made sure to get all these people in the right places for me to be able to talk with them. And so I was walking through a lab, walking through medical facilities, talking with a bunch of doctors, a bunch of people doing engineering. And so that's kind of, it showed me the care, it showed me the attention, and it showed me the true care for academics that Ohio State has.
Last weekend, you were in Columbus after spending, how much time did you spend in Nicaragua in April?
A week.
So you were in Nicaragua for a week, and then you got back home, go to Columbus for the spring game. Did you get to see Urban then?
Not during the spring game.
Yeah. Now this is different because you guys are now allowed to do a workout with the coaches there, right? So how did that workout go for you? And what did the coaching staff? I know we've talked to them recently, and they mentioned how you have been FaceTiming in and learning the offense and learning that, but to get into the program and to actually have Mick Marotti work with you in person, how was that workout?
It was really fun, and I think, I don't know, Pantone knows all the rules, and he's the guy, and so I don't know. We had to work with some assistants because I don't know if we can directly work with Coach Mick, but I was seeing him throughout the facility the entire weekend. But it was fun. Got to work out with Cade Stover and Jameson, and we were all, I think it was just the three of us, and we were working out. They were destroying our, we were getting a huge, chest, back, shoulder pump, and so it was really fun. And I'm really excited to be able to work in a facility like that filled with insane people who are crazy at development.
You mentioned that, without Ryan Day, you may not be at Ohio State in a roundabout way. How have you seen him change at all in the time that he's taken over as the head coach? And do you think that 3-game, I guess, test that he got last year has helped make this transition easier for him?
I think it definitely helped for him to be in that position. And it was kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but when he was announced, it kind of was like, well, duh. And just talking with him, and he was my area recruiter, so I'd gotten to know him it was 2 Junes ago where he called me, and it was his second day on the job, and he was calling me after we came out of the movie theater, and, we were talking about Ohio State. I had no interest in Ohio State, and, that's a whole long story about getting involved with them, and so it kind of just seemed like the natural process for him to be announced in this position, and so it was never really a big shock to me. I was kind of just like, well, of course. He's the guy. So it wasn't. I didn't really feel worried. I didn't feel anxious. I kind of just felt like it was the obvious choice to make.
And have you seen any change in him now that he's the guy?
I guess I guess it's different. Maybe I think the difference is just how he has to be in the public eye, I guess, and just I guess in that aspect. But really, personally, I mean, we talk about family stuff, and we talk about the nothing that we talk about. It's the same person now. He just has a different role, and so nothing crazy changing.
I'd like to give you an opportunity to talk more about your time in Nicaragua and what that's about for you, because I know how important that is. And, I can't implore people to help by donating in any way or anything like that because of the
Right.
NCAA. But,
Right.
you have an opportunity to go out and spread a message of hope and love that not a lot of people, even if they had the opportunity to do it, go out and do. How did that find you, and what has that meant to your development as a person? I mean, and of course, because I want to make sure our readers and watchers know, and as a football player, how has it helped you in your development?
It's helped. I guess it's been the deciding factor in everything, really. And so we found out about Nicaragua just kind of through, it was advertised through our church a little bit. And we were like, this would be a great experience. I was in 7th grade, and my mother thought it would be a great world experience to get into before I started getting into high school. So we went there. The first time, I guess it's hard to really digest it as a 7th grader and as a somebody who doesn't really have the capacity to understand what it really means. But it kind of opened the door to being able to come back my freshman year. And my freshman year was actually when I had a spine injury. I had a spondylolisthesis is the term, and my 5th lumbar had slid forward. I had a serious back spasms, and I was in a lot of pain. And so we go down there and we pray, and there's a guy down there named Andrew from California. I come to find out later that he's an Ohio State fan. Didn't know that at the time, and he's praying over me, and he just said to imagine concrete being poured down your back, and they shared with me the story of Jesus healing the blind man, and he says, according to your faith, let it be done to you. And that kind of set the precedence where I said, they said, what is a vertebrae to the creator of the universe? And that kind of set the frame of mind that I carried with me throughout high school, and now for the rest of my life, where I say, what is this, the creator of the universe? What is a coaching change to the creator of the universe? What are all these really small things that we blow up to be super big to the creator of the universe? And that kind of opened my eyes to where now I'm able to return every year, grow more, and see the families down there grow and be able to create relationships with the kids down there and the families down there. And so it played a huge role in my college decision, a huge role in football, because I noticed for me, it's if you're not good at football, then people don't want to interview you and people don't want to ask what's happening. And so, I mean, a lot of times I feel that I need to do this. I need to be successful, because if I don't, then people don't want to hear a story. And so it kind of just sets the framework for everything that I do. And it's a great group of people down there, and a great group of people at Ohio State who are going to help. And I'm really excited for the next several years with the relationship there.
Aside from football, aside from the unbelievable work you're doing down there in Nicaragua, like, you're a talented kid. You draw, you play the piano. I mean, how did you become this person? I mean, who molded Harry Miller to be this, Renaissance man?
I don't know. I guess a lot of it is my mom and my dad, and my mother's a OR nurse. My dad's a jet mechanic. So that got me into math and science. I've always been just, I guess I've just had a lot of amazing mentors, a lot of amazing teachers, a lot of amazing coaches that have just kind of instilled in me. It's like there's just so much to do. There's all these instruments to learn. There's all these languages to learn. There's all these different things to be able to enjoy. And I think it's impossible to be bored nowadays, because there's always something, you can always learn a new skill or find a new passion. And so that's kind of instilled in me. It's like, if I want to do something, then I want to do it, and to take pleasure in it and to learn new skills. But it's just I've had a lot of great mentors in my childhood that have, told me if I want to learn something or if I want to do something, to just do it. And so it's carried into music, football, and school.
Where do you go emotionally or internally to flip that switch when you hit the field then? Because I've talked to you a handful of times. This is who you are. I mean, you're a really great dude off the field, but I've seen you on the field and you're not always very nice to the people you're playing against. Where do you go? How do you get that?
I don't know, because it always kind of depends on the circumstances, and it depends on, at Buford, if you're playing a region game and you know your opponent might not be as good, it's hard to have the same intensity as playing against these 5-star recruits in the All-American game. I think a lot of it, to be constant, comes down to knowing why you're playing it. And again, for me, I need to perform well so that I have the opportunity to share important messages. And so I guess it just depends. A lot of times I don't like to get super excited. Like, I know at the All-American game, I like to withdraw myself a little bit and kind of center myself so I can perform efficiently. But it really comes down to the same thing. It's not about being angry or it's not about being crazy, but it's about executing with full intent. And that doesn't mean you have to want to kill somebody, but it means that you need to do the right thing and you need to do it because it's important that you do it.
This past weekend at Ohio State, you had an opportunity, I assume, to talk to Garrett Wilson and Noah Potter and Zach Harrison and all these early enrollees. As you're getting ready now for June and your arrival on campus, what are you doing to prepare for that, number one? And number two, what did those guys tell you is the one thing that is going to be the biggest adjustment?
So like in preparation, it's been a lot of lifting weights. It's been a lot of learning, and football wise, it's been getting stronger, becoming a better athlete, and learning the plays. And so that's been me talking with Coach Stud, working with the O-line guys and learning that, listening to Coach Mick, listening to any training that needs to be done. And then I haven't really talked with the guys up there a lot about kind of the adjustment. I mean, I guess for me, it's always just been kind of, if you have to do it, you have to do it. So I guess June 2nd, it's kind of like, get up and go and get it done. So I haven't talked to them a lot about adjustments, but I know it's very hard to fail when you're surrounded by a great group of guys that hold you accountable and that are always willing to help you in any circumstance. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a lot of emotions. I'm very nervous, very anxious, and there's all this stuff. But I'm very excited to be surrounded by these players, these coaches, and the staff.
It's got to be pretty crazy to think of all the things that have happened in the last year since you were there last June and committing. So, listen, Harry, I really appreciate you taking the time today. I know that you want to focus on getting yourself ready, but I think that it's your story is one that people need to hear, and I appreciate you taking the time. So, we look forward to seeing you this summer and suiting up for the Buckeyes this fall.
Absolutely.